We are speaking with the one and only Conny Bloom of the band Electric Boys. New album, Upside Down, came out in April of this year, and it is definitely worth checking out. And as we say here in Montreal, bonjour, Conny. How are you?
Bonjour. I'm good, thank you. It's been a weird year, but I don't know. It's like we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel over here. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about Sweden's response to COVID after, because it was interesting. You know, it started off, everybody went, "Oh, look, they're doing nothing. It's perfect," and then suddenly you went, "Oh shit, they did nothing." Whoops. Not that I'm trying to laugh at that, but let's get over to the album here. Talk to me about this, because if you look at the press release, it says the album reflects the turbulent times of this year. Talk to me about that. Is it all sort of lyrically or thematically tied into what we went through in the last year?
It is to a degree. Some of the stuff was written before the pandemic, but then also quite a few lyrics was written during last year. So yeah, some of it was inspired by that for sure.
And talk to me a bit about the sound, because you know the band, you know the drummer is out in LA, and you had to bring in a new guy or have a guy come in and do the drums. Talk to me about the recording process and having a new guy come in and having a drummer come in, and how do you sort of keep it sounding like the Electric Boys?
Actually, the thing is with Joel, the other drummer, he's been with the band since 2009 when we put the band together again, and he's actually done more shows than what Nicholas has, the original guy,
Right.
because Nicholas lives in Los Angeles and this guy lives in Stockholm. So Nicholas been coming in for recordings and for tours, but not for all the weekend shows and Fridays and Saturdays and stuff. So he's definitely not a new guy. And actually on the last album, or latest album, The Ghost War Diaries, we became five in the band. We used to be a four-piece, but now he's been in the band for so long that we got two drummers.
Maybe at some point you'll start doing shows with two drummers. That could be fun.
Yeah, we did that last time we played at Sweden Rock. They were both playing on a couple of tracks at the same time, which was kind of cool.
So when you go in and make a new album like this, do you look back at the songs that you've had success with, like Hips and Lips, and or do you sort of say, no, you know what, we're moving forward, we're going to keep this music going?
Always forward. It's I don't think we ever, maybe with the first album there was more of a thought behind, like okay, let's do, if we came up with a few songs that we felt like you said, Lips and Hips and stuff like that had something that we felt was a little bit different at the time. So but nowadays it's more like, I write a lot of songs and some of the other guys as well, and then when we have enough, like maybe 20 songs or whatever, we go through them and decide if we think we have an album there, or if we need more songs, and we just choose the best songs basically. So that is what ends up being the new album. And I find that for me, when we reformed the band, we did And Then Boys Down Swang, then it was really important for me at least, to sound like what we used to sound like, because a lot of bands reform and then fans get disappointed because, there's only two guys left and they don't even sound like that band or whatever. So it felt important at that time, but not anymore.
Not anymore.
It's so long ago. With it's like almost like it's a different person that wrote those songs.
And I'll say I think Twang'em Karang'em is one of the best songs on this album, or one of the best songs you've ever written. I just love that song. I think it's great little ditty. Talk to me about the writing process in terms of what comes first for you. Do you get the music down and the melody down and then say, okay, I'm going to do some lyrics, or do you have some lyrics that come to you and say, wow, I got to fit this into a song? How does it all sort of come together? What's the process for the band?
It varies all the time. So sometimes the lyric starts, sometimes it's just a title, sometimes it's a riff, it's a melody that kicks it off. So there's no rules for it, so to speak.
Oh,
And
all right.
the interesting thing is that the best songs are always really easy to write. It's almost like it sounds like a cliche, and I don't want to sound like I'm some kind of songwriting genius here, but I mean, it's like, it is a bit like what Keith Richards always said, that you just gotta keep the antenna up, and then there's a lot of melodies up there, and sometimes they come down to you. You know, it is a bit like that. Pretty much all the songs that ended up being singles, and the songs that people are still singing along to at the shows and stuff, uh, was really easy to write.
Is it something that you do alone, or is it a collaborative effort with the band? Do you present these songs and say, okay, we're going to record them, or does the band get together and say, okay, let's get 10 songs written?
It's usually me writing and then making demos at home with drum machine and all that, and then and sometimes, yeah, like on the latest album, Andy the bass player came up with 2 song ideas, and Joel the drummer came up with 1. So, and I'm sure Martin, the new guitar player, he's got lots of ideas and stuff, and does his own solo stuff as well. So there'll be more of that in the future, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what the last year has meant to you as a performer and not being able to go out and play as many shows as you would like. Is that something where you reevaluate your career and you say, hey, maybe it is time to go get a job over at the whatever Tesco or IKEA or whatever you have over in Sweden? Or do you sort of say, you know what, this is a time to refocus?
Yeah, definitely not give up. It was it was the opposite. We felt that okay, we can't go do any shows. We better make a new album then. So we just started writing like crazy, and we started rehearsing and did the album, and then eventually we also did a concert, recorded a concert film recently. So we've stayed more focused and more working more than in a very long time, actually.
In 1990, of course, we talked about Lips and Hips. It has a modicum of success in the U.S. It gets you up into the Billboard Hot 100, even top 20 in the U.S. Mainstream rock charts. Talk to me about the plan when you start getting a little bit of success in the States. How does the record company react, and how does the band react? Do you sort of say, all right, we got to get over there right now and start playing shows? What was going on at that time when this song started having success?
Well, we when we recorded the album over here in Sweden, there was no bands uh, sounding like that. Most bands were singing in Swedish to begin with,
Right.
and very poppy stuff, almost, you know. So we actually thought that this ain't gonna work over here, so we gotta get over to the States, uh, because it seemed like at that time that's where everybody was working from. And then when we recorded Lips and Hips, and the publisher sent that away to their people in Los Angeles, I think it was, and of course the fax in those days, you know, so the faxes started coming in, and oh, this is a hit, we gotta work this, blah blah blah, and so everything took off really fast because of that song. But I mean, we were all already on our way, because we always felt connected to bands like, I don't know, Aerosmith, whatever. There was nothing in Sweden that we could relate to.
Of course, Aerosmith being one of the great ones. Last year, you released, of course, Game Set Bloom, and you chose to do it all in Swedish. Talk to me about that decision, because for many outside of Sweden, of course, it sort of shuts down the ability to get into the music. You want to sort of hear those English lyrics. Talk to me about making that album all in Swedish and the thought process behind that.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I did one album before that called Full Tup, and the thing was, I mean, from my own point of view, just changing everything totally at that time, and just by singing in Swedish and writing lyrics in Swedish was a totally new thing for me, obviously. So, and I just felt I had to do it, you know, just to try something else. The other option would be to stop playing saxophone or something, which is not an option. So I mean, that's where it started, and then it seem like people really dug it over here, and they started talking about how great the lyrics was, and compared me to a lot of other great lyricists and stuff. So, and to me, I don't know, it was a challenge, and it still is. Maybe it's, as you say, maybe it's stupid, you know. But that's why I always put an instrumental on all the solo
Oh,
albums. Well, so at least
yeah, I mean, and I don't want to suggest it's stupid, but what I am suggesting is that, for example, for myself, I hear the music and then I hear the Swedish lyrics, and I can't relate to it. Now that's maybe my issue, but as a rock fan, I want to get into these songs and I want to start hearing this. Do you think that at some point you might take these songs or take that music, because the music was great, and you might make an English language version?
um, it's a possibility for sure, or maybe another solo album in English. Maybe
Yeah.
that's easier. You know, translating lyrics like that, I don't think it works, because you can have like a saying, or you know, twangem and kurangem is a really good example, as you brought up, because
Right.
there's no words for that in Swedish. I couldn't, and the whole song came up because of that title. So it would be
Yeah.
difficult to translate it all. So probably better just to make a new album and do it in English in that case.
So
I'm
you mentioned,
glad you said that. I'm glad you want to hear it.
I do. I mean, I listen, and I have a bias. I mean, I've always preferred music in English, and that's right or wrong. I don't know. But when I hear, like for example, Rammstein in German, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
I don't relate. But
yeah.
talk to me about when you reformed the Electric Boys. What was the decision behind that? Was it simply like, hey, this band didn't get the run that it was supposed to have, and let's keep it going? Was it a business decision to say, listen, I've got a brand, let's bring it back? Talk to me about that time when you resurrected the Electric Boys, and the decision behind it, because it's something that I'm sure you didn't take lightly. I mean, obviously, if you're going to do it, you've got to really do it, right?
Yeah. But this was after this was 2009 or something like that, when
Mm-hmm.
after 4.5 years with Hanoi Rocks, and obviously because I wasn't singing, and because I mean this I always Hanoi has always been quite varied song-wise as well, and there's been I mean, I know for sure that we have a lot of the same inspiration sources. There's been some reggae, there's been some soul, punk, funk, blues, everything in those albums too. But I see them more as a straightforward rock and roll band, and Electric Boys, I guess, is more like a 70s, I don't know, riff, groove,
Yeah.
groove. I don't know, but it's a different style. And after those years, it just felt, you know. I was talking to Andy, not McCoy, but Christelle, the bass player. I said, "What do you feel like doing?" And he said, "Well, I've been thinking about this," and I said, "Yeah, me too. It would be great to play that kind of music again." So that's where it started. And then we thought, okay, so I mean, why not call the guys who did it in the first place? It would be kind of crazy to start something completely new when we already have a name, if they want to do it. I wasn't so sure, but they wanted to, so that's how it happened.
So it happened. What does it look like currently in Sweden for your chances to get out and play and have a regular touring schedule. Is that something that's possible at this point? And this point, of course, being June 1st of 2021, can you get out there and tour, or what's the situation for bands?
Yeah, it's starting to open up now, actually. I think today or tomorrow. I think today, actually. There's been some changes done. I mean, for instance, the bars have been closing at 8 o'clock, and there's restrictions within for people, of course, and now they're open till 10:30 instead from today, I think. And then and there is restrictions, but they're opening up more, and then from the 1st of July, unless something goes haywire and it goes crazy again, then it's going to open up even more. So there seems to be a plan that to at the end of the summer or towards autumn, things will be hopefully fairly good again. But it is opening up, so it's just one day at a time. I'm just happy as long as it's going towards the, better.
And we get to start playing. Real quick here on the press release, it lists the influences as Jimi Hendrix and Deep Purple and David Bowie. I also know that you're a huge Kiss fan. Talk to me a little bit about what was it about Deep Purple and Jimi Hendrix that sort of had your ears pop up and you go, yeah, this is for me. I like this.
First of all, it was that the press release. I wouldn't name bands like that. I think, but
Okay.
If that's how some people hear it, then I guess it's correct.
Well, I hear it as the Electric Boys, but it's just funny because I read this press release and it says Jimi Hendrix, Deep Purple, and then Sisters of Mercy, and I go, okay, sure, why not? I hear a lot of Aerosmith, a lot of Kiss. I hear a lot of grooves. I hear a lot of great melodies. I just hear Electric Boys, quite frankly.
And it's fun because I've been doing quite a few interviews now for the last couple of months, and everyone has their own ideas about what things sound like, which is really interesting. But I don't know, you mentioned Deep Purple and Jimi Hendrix. Obviously, for me as a guitar player, that's what I really got into, especially Deep Purple when I was a kid. Richard Blackmore had a tone that's how you want a Strat to sound. So that's where it all started, like that. Really, but I mean, I'm listening to a lot of music, and the whole band has always been listening to a lot of stuff. It's so varied. I mean, people would probably think we're schizophrenic if they come into a tour bus. It can be anything from Rush to via reggae to gypsy jazz, soul, all the 50s rock and roll, 60s, 70s, 80s. Not so much 80s.
I don't think I've ever heard the term gypsy jazz before. That's kind of interesting. Check
Django Reinhardt. That's the guy.
Really? Okay. I'll get to that now. When you're listening to this music, are you a CD guy or are you a vinyl guy?
I usually listen on my phone, actually, because when I'm traveling someplace, going on the tube or whatever, unless I'm out, or if I'm out walking. But I got both. I even have a lot of cassettes, but I don't have a cassette player. It broke now. But they sound horrible.
Yeah, I have no love of cassettes, and I'm not a vinyl guy either. I like the convenience of a CD. It 75 minutes of music. You don't have to flip it over, and you never hear crackles and pops on CDs. So
I guess I'm a fan of the covers. That's what it is with vinyl for me. I mean, when I grew up, when I was 9 years old, and when Alice Cooper became like my big hero at that time, and I bought all the, the $1 Billion Baby, Schools Out, Muscle of Love, all those covers that you could fold out. That was really cool. That's really boring with CDs. So it's more from that perspective for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the vinyl album covers. Since we last spoke, which was over a year ago, Eddie Van Halen has passed away. We talk about guitarists, we talk about big American rock. What did Van Halen mean to you? And in terms of a guitar player, did Eddie influence you in any way, shape, or form, or did you just sort of sit from the outside and say, "Wow, that guy's great"? Just quickly talk to me about Van Halen and Eddie.
Yeah. Well, I consider him being obviously one of the greatest and the most inspirational
Mm-hmm.
guys. Probably the biggest in after Jimi Hendrix, who will be the next one to really like fuck it all up like he did. I mean, everybody wanted to do the tapping and try to play Eruption, and
Yeah.
he just changed everything.
Yeah, I
So
think after Jimmy, there's a couple. I mean, you obviously you have to look at Blackmore. You got to look at Schenker,
yeah,
but
there's a lot of them, of course. There's a little bit, I'm just. I mean, he definitely. The way I look, if I look back at that, the 80s and all that, it's like every guitar player was trying to sound like Eddie for so long. So that's what I mean. I mean, there's a lot of great guitar players and a lot of different styles, but I mean, the way he influenced so many is beyond belief almost.
yeah, beyond belief. And then we'll finish with this. Of course, Upside Down came out this year, but And Them Boys Done Swang 2011, Starflight United, fantastic album 2014, and The Ghost War Diaries 2018. The band has been very productive since you've gotten back together. Is that something that you plan on keeping active in the sense where every couple of years fans can sort of sit down and go, there's new music? Because it's been working and the albums have been great.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's really simple. It's we all feel much better when we keep busy and when there's work to be done.
Right.
Make an album and then go on the road. Again, make another album, go on the road. It's all the times in between when there's nothing happening, when you start thinking too much, and it's no good. You gotta keep busy and stay active.
That's what I'm thinking. And of course, folks, Upside Down, the new album by the Electric Boys, is available now at fine retailers, as we say, and of course online. Pick it up. It is a great, great piece of work. And as we say here in Montreal, merci, Conny. Always a pleasure. Toujours un plaisir.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to you again.
Cheers.